Sarah, would you be comfortable if we sent this presentation out to all the attendees? And because I don't really know the solution, to be honest.
I can just talk without the presentation. I mean, that's, I guess that's the option we have, right? Just give me 1 second. So you tried even downloading the app and it didn't work?
No, it didn't work. Or well,
okay.
Why don't you just go ahead and get started, and then I'm gonna try. If I have to get off, I might have to try and move around. So why don't you go ahead and start speaking, and then I'll try and get it going in the background.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, I'm going to share. Well, hello everyone. Thank you so much for being patient with us. So today we're going to explore how user experience research varies between academia and industry, and why learning about these differences can significantly enhance your career and impact. My name is Sarah Nikha, and I recently transitioned from academia to industry. I graduated from Indiana University, Indianapolis, to work at Lilly. And so a little bit about what is in this presentation for you. So whether you're from academia looking to understand the industry, or an industry professional who is curious about academic methodologies, this session has something valuable for you. So we'll explore how both worlds can benefit from each other, and how might we enhance user experience research across the board. And in the slide deck, I had this visual that there was a bridge, a suspension bridge between a class in academia the suspension bridge, its elegance lies in its balance, and similarly, successful collaboration balances theoretical research in academia with practical application in industry. So both sides contribute to the bridge's stability. So what is in here in this presentation for you is basically for academics, it's learning about the practical applications of user experience research in industry settings, learning about the business-driven focus of industry research, and strategies to applying rigor in academia to industry in efficient ways. And basically, tips for developing relevant skills and building your portfolio, and also how to engage with industry professionals, what are the platforms and events that you can attend. For industry professionals, you will gain an understanding of the depth and rigor of academic research methodologies. You understand how these methodologies can be adapted for industry to improve research outcomes in industry, and you learn how to collaborate with academic institution when you learn about how their goals, how their types of methodologies are different. There will be an area for collaboration between the two. And also, you learn about comprehensive research practices and how do we use them in our fast-paced business environments. So a summary about like the content that I'm going to talk about. So now that we talked about what you're going to learn from this presentation. So the content, the agenda for this presentation is going to be about I'm going to share about my transition from academia to industry. Then I'll talk about the user experience research in academia versus in industry, how success is measured differently in academia and industry, what are the differences in lifestyle in academia and industry, and I end with some user experience research career recommendation and share career resources. And after that, we will have it open for discussion. And if you have questions in between, we can address those as well. I'm going to ask the moderators if there was a question that was relevant to the slides. You can interrupt me; it's fine.
Hey, Phil, can you see it now, or if anybody can see it, can you give a thumbs up?
Yes, I can see.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I've just got to scroll through it. So let me know if I'm assuming we were coming here. So let me know if, okay, great.
Okay, thank you. All right. So the pictures that you see, it's me with the middle picture is me with my when I graduated from Indiana University, and some of my master's student colleagues who also graduated, we had a celebration at our house, and it's my advisor and the people in our lab, and then the other one is the picture of my transition basically to Lily, and the other one is a picture of my husband and I at Eagle Creek Park in Indianapolis, and our cat. So talking a little bit about my transition from academia to industry. Yeah, next, please. So my initial discovery about the fact that I want to transition from academia to industry happened when I learned that HCI research skills are transferable to user experience research in industry. And I had this desire to apply my skills, the research skills I gained in academia, in more practical, impactful contexts, in places that I could see the impact of my work faster. So when the way I learned about it was through social networking, and I attended user experience research conferences, and the very early first challenges that I faced when I transitioned was the fast-paced environment, and I learned to apply my academic research skills in a business-centric, very fast ways. And as you know, the time frame and deadlines are different in academia and industry. I talked a bit about my general experience with transitioning. I want to emphasize on the role of networking and connections for this transition. Everything in this transition required my connections and networks. So it started with me going to the conferences, meeting some former academics who transitioned to UX professionals in industry, and asking questions and asking them to basically connect me to more connections. And another way was attending the meetups and conferences. But it's not just about building relationships. It's also about the sustained effort to continuing those relationships. And when you think about scheduling a meeting, for example, with a industry professional, it's not just about what you're going to learn from them. It's about also how they're going to learn from you. So when I schedule these meetings, in addition to asking them about how it is different, I shared my own experiences with research, for example, how we are doing participatory design session differently due to COVID, and shared about the changes in methodologies in academia, so that they can also learn and maybe use those skills in industry. And finally, after you get the job, after you start in industry, don't stop and stay engaged, attend the conferences, and even try to present and mentor others. And this slide also includes some pictures of me and some colleagues at GHC and presentations. Then Yes, we can go to next slide. So now that I talked a bit about my personal journey, now let's talk about user experience research in academia versus industry. So before I talk about the differences in user experience research, I want to first talk about how the goals in academia and industry are different. So academic goals or goals in academia are more focused on expanding knowledge, educating future researchers, developing theoretical advancements. They do not necessarily have to have immediate application. But in industry, the focus is on product development and market competitiveness and user satisfaction. So the goals are different between these two. So knowing about the shared and divergent objectives between them can help us bridge the gap. So we know that both sectors aim to advance understanding through research, but academia prioritizes depth, while industry values speed and applicability. So now I can talk about the differences between user experience research in academia and industry. So the differences is in research scope to start with. Academic research is broad and deep, and it can focus on fundamental questions over long periods of time, while industry research is pragmatic and product focused. As an example, my PhD dissertation took 6 years to be able to turn into a dissertation, and each of the papers that I wrote sometimes took a year or two to finalize the study and get peer reviewed, sometimes get rejection, sometimes get acceptance. So the cycle is longer in academia for research. However, in industry, the type of research that I work on, we sometimes have to wrap up even a generative type research in 2 months, less than 2 months. So that's showing how different these two, the scope and timeline is. The second thing is methodological approach. Academics usually employ structured methods for reliability. Industry favors flexibility and adapt quickly to feedback. So because in academia you want to measure, you're looking for statistical significance, you're looking for measurements and deep insights, and you try to have as much structured methods as possible. And that doesn't mean that you don't use, for example, semi-structured interviews in academia. You do, but the length and the depth of the projects are different. The next thing is outcome orientation. So academic outcomes aim at scholarly contributions such as citations, papers, while industry's focus is on immediate product enhancement, product development. So knowing that these two differences can help us, again, bridge that gap, know about how can we leverage each other's orientation, basically. The last thing is about stakeholder engagement. And in academic research, we mainly engage with our peers, scholars, and funders. Whereas in industry, you engage with multiple teams, very cross-functional. You talk with product teams, direct consumers, development teams, different teams that you engage with. So going deeper into how user experience research in academia and industry are different, I want to talk about how generative research is different in academia versus industry. When I talk about generative research, think about as those first early steps in understanding the context and problem space. So the outcome of generative research is a deep understanding of the user and the problem space, and it is going to inform your initial ideation. And think of it as a farmer. Before they want to plant a seed, they want to research the soil, they want to research the area, they want to research the type of seed that they're going to plant is going to be good for their area, access to water, all different things. So they need to have a deep understanding of the context. The same thing applies for generative research. It's basically helping us understand the context and focusing on the right problem. So the generative research in academia focuses on theory building. For example, the project that I worked on was focused on family resilience and designing to improve family resilience. And in that project, we are still in the generative research. But yeah, in that project, we looked at multiple theories to decide which one of these theories can best describe the practices of our participants. And we did thorough reviews, and we did very detailed work and multiple studies on the same topic. So that's the difference between generative research in academia and industry. So in industry, however, when you have a generative question, usually you know that it's most probably gonna work, but you're looking at what idea is gonna be the best. You're looking at defining the problem space better. So in industry, you cannot choose whatever you want to work on. There is a business aspect to it there that you need to have in mind. And that's why the generative research is more about product innovation. How do we ideate? How do we involve customers directly to generate ideas that then can be tested and adapted? And just making sure, is this session till 3:30?
No, I think it was until 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so with formative research, the outcome of formative research is direct feedback on design, which is going to lead to iterative improvement on how to build a product effectively. And think about it as an artist who is refining their sculpture. So there's an iterative process to it. So the difference in academia and industry is in academia, the focus is on exploring new knowledge areas with deep methodological processes, and it's often dependent on funding and peer collaboration. And in industry, it's more about refining product design through rapid user testing and iterative design processes. And you try to keep iterate the prototypes until it is ready for launch. And if we go to the next slide, that's where we need summative research, which in industry, that means that that's the time we assess the product launch and we get the thumbs up and ready to go for the product launch. So that's the last step in research step in industry. In academia, it's that last step is more about validation of theories, validation of findings and publications and comprehensive statistical analysis and things like that. Now we're going to talk about how success is measured differently in academia and industry. To talk about how it is differently measured, we need to first talk about the outputs. So the outputs in academic user experience research usually is research papers, conferences, funding reports, doctoral thesis, or grant submissions. However, in industry, it focuses on executive summaries, product development meetings, white papers, stakeholder presentations, and therefore success in academia is about did I get good peer reviews? Do I have a lot of publications, a lot of grants, a lot of citations? Did I have a scholarly impact? And did I have educational influence on newer academics? And in industry, it's different because it's basically about product success, product impact, achievement of business metrics, KPIs. When the stakeholders are are satisfied or where the customer is satisfied. Now talking about the audiences for academic and industry research. So in academia, your audience are research communities, conferences, academic institutions, funding bodies, even policymakers, and global academic networks. In industry, you interact with cross-functional teams, product teams, marketing departments, executive leadership, customers, industry partners, agencies. So there are a lot of different stakeholders involved, and that can influence how you will need to change the output of your work based on the audience. And this is basically a picture of ProductCon from Product School. Now I'd like to talk about the lifestyle differences in academia and industry. So in academia, you have flexibility in daily routines, but you're constrained by academic calendars and grant cycles. Yeah, we can go to the next slide. You get deep specialization in specific research areas, enhancing the depth of knowledge. You are specialized in one specific area, and you can choose the area of your interest. You have freedom in research focus, such as the last presenter who focused on thinking like a magician, Dr. Lee. So you can decide what to work on. But in industry, you cannot go to your boss and be like, hey, I want to study design for magicians, for example. You cannot do that. But also in industry, the only pressure, or maybe one of the, not the only, one of the pressures is publication pressure. And there's this constant publish or perish situation where you either get approved, or if you get rejected, you have to do a lot of work to basically resubmit your work. In industry, the lifestyle is fast-paced. There's frequent deadlines, multiple different types of projects. If you like different projects, and if you like to see the impact of your work, that's gonna be a really good fit. You need to develop versatile skills because there's various projects you're working on, and because you're collaborating with cross-functional teams, you will need to have strong communication skills and need to improve your communication skills. Again, the product-driven focus and the business-driven focus in industry means that whatever research you're working on needs to align with business goals. And because there's a lot of different opportunities and a lot of different projects, the good thing is that you have opportunity for diverse career paths. So talking about career recommendations. For folks who are planning to transition from academia, especially grad school, to industry, working on building a portfolio for user experience research is going to help. And this user experience research portfolio should showcase your skills and demonstrate the ability that you have to conduct and present user experience research effectively. And it needs to show the impact of your work on both the users and the context that you're designing for. And it also, always when you are designing, think about your personal brand. Show your unique style and expertise that you have, because as I shared, there's multiple different types of research. There's generative, formative, summative. Maybe you have better skills in one of those areas or multiple areas, or maybe like you are a quantitative researcher and do more summative type research. So you make sure that it is clear who should be looking for you and what are your interests. in that portfolio. Then when some of the key elements that should be there in UX portfolio that every recruiter is going to look for is the detail in processes that you use and the methodologies that you use to address the research question that you had in mind, and the fact that you actually focus on the right research question. You can include visuals, but the expectation of a researcher is not, it is to be very like to have good visuals and be follow good design practices, but more than that, the expectation is to show that there's a logical aspect to the process in the research. Then try to include some testimonials or feedback from peers or clients in your portfolio. It will help add credibility to your work. And also, after that, try to share what are your career goals and motivations, because maybe you have experience in some specific skills, but your motivation and your goals are to gain some other skills. So if that's what you're looking for, keep working on it and also add that to your portfolio. And make sure that your portfolio has a way, maybe email or whatever way, to access to potential connections. If possible, create multiple diverse projects to showcase range of skills and impacts, because there's different methods in user experience research. But if not, one research that is very deep and is very complete and can explain itself is even better than 10 research that maybe do not make sense as much. So the next thing is about being motivated and inspired, and about staying curious and staying trying to embrace new methodologies and insight, trying to innovate and introduce cutting-edge methodologies benefiting both fields. Because as a person who is transitioning from academia to industry, you know some things that people in academia know and people in industry may not know. So maybe you can transfer those things to to industry, and maybe you can even change those methods a little bit to accommodate for the fast pace in industry and innovate. Engage with communities, try to stay connected not only with the professional networks in industry, but also keep your connections with academia, because maybe some of those connections in academia also one they want to transfer to industry, or the other way around. And the last thing is setting long-term goals and focusing on future career objectives. And one suggestion for that one that I have is, if you have a role that you know that you're looking for, that you want to be, for example, a UX designer or senior user experience designer or a UX manager or interaction designer, whatever role that is that you think that you're interested in, go to LinkedIn, look up that role, look for some people who have that job role, and scroll and look at their skills, look at their experiences, look what helped them get to where they are. Look at multiple different people and get inspired from the methods that they learned, and try to learn those methods so that you can get to closer to the role that you want to. Be resilient and supportive. And there are going to be a lot of challenges. There's a difficult transition, and try to get as much as feedback as you can, especially from your peers in industry, because they know better what is expectations in industry, and improve your work and yourself. And while you're doing that, help others grow as well. And I talked a lot about helping others and mentoring others and helping others grow. There are some websites specific for user experience professionals to be a mentor or seek mentors. And I listed some of them here. Most famous ones are ADP List, UX Copy Hours, and RookieUp. So make sure to leverage these and give back to the community, or if you're looking for a mentor, sign up and get connected with folks from academia or industry. The last thing I would like to share is some UXR career resources. So to engage in UX community, there are a set of websites, platforms, organizations that you can engage with. So in the left column, you see a list of such websites and groups and platforms that you can join and you can contribute. The second column is industry conferences and meetups. If you are thinking to transition from academia to industry, it is best to attend some of these, or at least the chapters in your city for these. For example, my experience, I attended Indie Design Week. Before I attended UXPA chapter in Indiana. So attending different events in your own city, in your own community can help get connected and start building your network. And the last column is about academic conferences. So if you are in industry and do not know where you should publish, if you want to publish a paper that is more like academia focused or more generative type research, those are some example of places that you could publish. And that is it.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Again, apologies, guys, for the technical difficulties on our end. But like I mentioned, we do have a Q&A. If you want to drop your questions in the chat, we will answer them live here. Also, it looks like Sarah's contact information or LinkedIn is right there, so you're more than welcome to email her one off. But we will, just sit tight here for a minute or two and see if there's any questions that roll in.
Sure.
And Sarah, a heads up, if they do come in, the folks can't read them on their end.
Okay.
So if you wouldn't mind reading the question and then giving your answer.
Okay, sure.
I can read it too. I can read the question if that's helpful.
Okay, sure. So the first question is, thank you, Sarah, great presentation. What tools do you use for user testing and user research? So we use different tools depending on who we are doing the testing with. If you're testing internal participants, we use our internal tools such as Teams and sometimes Zoom, less often. And if we are interviewing external participants and patients, caregivers, or healthcare providers, we use user testing. Previously in academia, to conduct research, I used user interviews and in-person interviews at the hospital for user research. I hope that answers the question. And for analyzing the findings, we use FigJam, we use user testing itself also have some features to help with that.
Any last questions? Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Sarah, for presenting and taking the time out of your day to present. We will send this presentation out to you guys so you can review it. But just a couple of reminders on my end is, again, like I mentioned, 4 o'clock at CBR, we are starting the presentation with Tiffany Sauter. That will begin promptly at 4. So feel free to join us at CBR downtown. And then tomorrow is our first ever design and arts market with the Stutz, at the Stutz with Six Ways Market. So we're really excited for that. It is free for admission and everybody here is welcome to go and purchase some local art. So thank you again. Hope to see you soon. Thank you. Thanks, Sarah.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye.